Welcome back to In the House with Beth and Ryan. I'm Beth and this is Ryan.
Nice glasses.
Thank you. I just got my first pair of progressive glasses.
That's what happens when you turn 40 and beyond.
Yes, fresh 40.
Yeah, I do a lot of the back and forth that I used to make fun of my parents for doing. Today we are going to talk about some real estate related news first, because there's some fresh news. A couple of things that have come up that are fresh news that we can talk about that will maybe impact the market a little bit, and then we'll just give an update as to what the Guelph real estate market looked like in August and what we anticipate we're going to see in the coming weeks. So, two big announcements this week. The first one I think is going to be less impactful, and this one is allowing first-time home buyers to have a 30-year amortization. Yeah, and before it was 30-year amortization on just new builds. Now it's 30-year amortization on everything.
Right.
And for some first-time buyers, that's probably going to be helpful. It just allows you to stretch your payments over a 30-year period as opposed to 25. So your payments go down per month, but in the end, you still pay.
You end up paying more.
Yeah, you end up paying.
Interest.
You end up paying more interest.
Yeah.
So the banks, I'm sure, love this.
Yeah.
That you have more time to pay your mortgage because you pay a lot more interest. And then the second one, which is sort of also probably favored by the banks, that's a big one, which is the 20% down.
Right. So up until now, any home purchase at $1 million or more, you're required. It's mandatory to put down at least 20%. And the new rule says you can now purchase up to 1.5 before you have to do that.
Yeah, and so what that means is that if you were looking at a house that was 1.2 million, currently you have to put down $240,000. And as of December 15th, when this takes effect, you will now only need to put down about 10% of that, which is $120,000, which is about half, and a lot of money. So it enables people who don't have that sizable down payment to...
Maybe you have an excellent income and good earning power, but you haven't saved up that big down payment, like Ryan said. Then it does allow you to access a little bit more house right out of the gate. Yeah,
and there are a couple things about that. One is, of course, as I mentioned, the banks love that because now you don't have to put 20% down. You put down half of that and you simply pay more interest because you have a larger mortgage. Instead of having an 80% value mortgage, you now have 90%. And the other thing with that is that it might impact housing prices above $1 million. In the past, we've seen when buyers are looking at a house that's close to $1 million, they want to go just below to avoid the 20%. But now that threshold has changed.
And interestingly, we've talked in the last couple of videos about how we've noticed in the last year or so in Guelph that we do have these two separate markets happening. We have the below $1 million market, which is much more of a seller's market, and the above $1 million, which is more of a buyer's market. It'll be interesting to see if this new rule will shift that a little bit. I don't think it'll be a dramatic shift, but it could push it a little bit more. Those houses that are right in and around that $1 million mark, we might see more buyers.
We might see more activity, and in between $1 million to $1.5 million now, there might be a little more activity. So, of course, the big concern from critics or experts in the industry is that this could further
drive prices up.
Because now buyers can get in with 10% down and up to 1.5 million and really sort of push that next segment of market up. So there are some pros and cons to each. I personally don't think that either one of these things is great for the market. I think for the long term, it's just going to put people in more debt. But in the short term, the government seems to believe that it will be helpful. It will be helpful to people. So we'll see.
We'll see. Yeah.
An interest rate announcement came out earlier this month, and it dropped again for the third time by 0.25. Yeah. And the next one is, when did you say the next one?
October 23rd.
Okay, so October 23rd. So there is a chance. Yeah, there is a chance that there's talk that the government may drop it. They call it a jumbo cut or something, 0.5 or 0.5%. and that we'll start to see bigger cuts as we need them. So, and as inflation goes down. So, do you see the market picking up right now? I don't really.
Not really. We did actually, I would say like a few weeks ago, a month ago, it did feel like there was this little burst of activity. We saw buyers come back with that last interest rate announcement, I guess, really was when it happened. But it hasn't really continued. I think we've kind of settled back into that. Kind of a plateau.
And we typically see September, October, November, December as slowly drifting down in the number of sales every day. And September, although this September is trending to be slightly higher than last year, which was really slow.
Right, which isn't saying much.
No, but it's only slightly higher than last year. But what we have noticed is that the inventory in Guelph has really shot up. We're closing in on, maybe today we actually crossed 400 houses. That's single family residential homes.
Which is a multi-year record high.
And when there's 400 houses, buyers have choices. When only 3 or 4 are selling a day and there are 400 on the market, that's a lot of inventory.
And did you look at the breakdown in terms of where those houses are in terms of price point?
No.
That'd be another interesting thing we can take a look at.
We can look at that. I haven't done it now, but
I do know that the over $1 million price point is continuing to climb. But maybe it's an even spread. It could be that they are all climbing at an even pace.
I mean, we had one that was at 775 last week. And it was gone
in 24 hours.
It was gone in 24 hours. There were a lot of people through. And interestingly, though, all of the big interest we had on that house were from first-time buyers. So it's just a different market. A first-time buyer is not looking at a house at 1.2 million because their affordability is in the $700,000-800,000 mark. So 2 totally different markets. But and that's it for now. Next month we'll give some predictions for next year, and you can hear us on the radio next Wednesday, Waller Wednesdays on Magic 106. And as always, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out at bethandryan.ca.
Bye.